You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Departments dedicated to public safety spared from budget cuts in San Francisco.
We are not made safe only by police.
Why some city workers say the latest budget proposal is making the wrong kind of cuts. Plus, Bay Area homeowners fighting California's plans to sunset the rules for solar. Why they say they feel betrayed. And we'll explain why fans have traveled across the world to line up outside Oracle Park today.
I lost my parents a while back and I felt a little lost, but once Maniac came out, it made me feel okay and it gave me hope again.
Well, thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to have those stories and more coming up right after our news headlines. Advocates holding a rally outside an immigration courthouse in San Francisco. They tell us federal agents have been showing up there and that they detained 4 people Tuesday morning. This is at the courthouse on Montgomery Street. The Chronicle reporting the 4 people were arrested after their court appointments for asylum cases.
And it should alarm everybody in this country that ICE agents are coming into courthouses to deprive people of access to court and of due process. It should alarm everybody. It is appalling. It is a violation of this country's constitution, and we will not stand for it.
ICE would not comment on the arrest, but they gave us a statement saying, in part, the agency is following the law and placing undocumented immigrants in expedited removal. If they have a valid, credible fear claim, they'll continue in immigration proceedings. The Trump administration putting a pause on appointments for students looking to obtain a visa. The State Department has ordered U.S. embassies to temporarily stop scheduling any new student visa appointments. CBS News has learned that the State Department is preparing for an expansion of social media screening and vetting of applicants. The State Department says the process is designed to ensure applicants do not pose a security or safety risk to the U.S. The city of Berkeley ordering people camping in Ohlone Park to clear out by today or risk citation and arrest. City leaders say they have received a surge in complaints of overflowing garbage, discarded needles, and human waste. The number of people living there began to swell last month. Neighbors say they fear for their safety. Homeless advocates say the city should be doing more to help. All right, let's get a check on our first alert forecast this Wednesday. Meteorologist Jessica Birch is tracking a heat advisory for much of the Bay Area coming up later this week.
Well, it's a nice mild day for us today in the Bay Area, but we have a big warm up around the corner as we head into the next couple days. Daytime highs today are actually cooler compared to yesterday. We were in the 80s off into Antioch, up into Santa Rosa, and down into the Santa Clara Valley yesterday for our Tuesday forecast. But today, we're all back in the 70s with 60s closer to Oakland and San Francisco, Fremont too, and then some 50s up along our coastline with cloudy skies into this afternoon. So a nice mild midweek forecast, but we have a very big warm up right around the corner. Heading into our daytime highs tomorrow and all the way into our Friday forecast, we're going to jump up about 20 to 25 degrees. I'll show you that in a second. Starting off with today, though, winds are already kicking up into our afternoon hours. Into the evening hours tonight, we can see wind speeds anywhere up to around 35 to 40 miles per hour at times along the coast, up into Bodega Bay. A little bit lighter conditions off near San Francisco, pushed into our inland areas. Now, the weather is changing fast as we head into the next couple days. High pressure starts to ridge its way in. We're going to sandwich that with some high pressure in our inland areas, and that warms us up and it dries us up a lot. We're going to see relative humidity drop. Temperatures are going to start to rise to the point where the National Weather Service has already issued a heat advisory starting in the early morning hours on Friday for most of the Bay Area, and it's going to last into the afternoon hours on Friday until 8 p.m. We're expected to jump up to the upper 90s, close to the triple digits in our inland areas like the East Bay and the Santa Clara Valley. We're going to ditch that heat advisory as we head into Saturday, but we still have a lot of warmth left over. It's not until Sunday where we start to see that recovery process back into the 70s for our friends in our inland spots. And speaking of 70s, that's where we're going to be at tomorrow for our friends along the bay before we jump into the 80s by Friday, back into the 70s by Saturday. Cooler weather on the way next week.
In San Francisco, city leaders trying to figure out how to tackle a massive budget shortfall. Well, now we're learning that police, fire, and other public safety agencies will be exempt from the belt tightening to make that happen. According to the latest budget status report, the city is projected to spend about $7.6 billion out of the general fund this year. That is money that's not designated to go to any specific program or service. The public protection budget accounts for more than a quarter of that, more than $1.9 billion. Lauren Toms has more on the potential impact of maintaining that spending level.
I get up in the morning, I turn on my tap water. That's hetchy, clean tap water from the PUC. When I commute here to City Hall, I get on the 5 Fulton or 5R Fulton Rapid. When we're talking about cutting city services again, that touches not just city workers, but all San Franciscans.
Bianca Polavina not only uses San Francisco resources every day, but they represent thousands of city workers as president of Local 21, whose jobs and services could be on the chopping block. City departments have been told to make 15% cuts to their budgets. But Mayor Daniel Lurie Tuesday confirmed sworn officers, including police and fire, will be spared in an effort to maintain public safety. But Bianca says the impacts to other departments will be steep.
We don't even know yet how severe it could be. We do that hidden work, the infrastructure work that you don't necessarily see. Our public health system will be severely compromised if we are looking at that level of cuts.
Jennifer Esteen is a registered nurse supporting care for people with severe mental illness. She says she was shocked to learn of the mayor's decision, which she says will impact the quality of service she can provide.
We are not made safe only by police. We actually are made safe by providing services that help people and services that keep our communities holistically well.
She says the cuts could be more costly in the long run than the short-term savings they could provide. In a statement, Lurie says his budget proposal, expected to be released next week, will include absolutely zero cuts to sworn officers. Police Officers Association President Tracy McCray says the city's decreasing crime rates can only be sustained if there are no cuts to sworn officers.
Because I'm sure when the board gets it, they're going to look at it, but they have to avoid the temptation that they could let their foot off the gas regarding all the progress that we've made to get crime down, because if we take our foot off, crime can go right back up.
While sworn positions for police, fire, and emergency services may be safe, civilian public safety positions could still see cuts. Supervisor Matt Dorsey, who also serves as vice chair for the Budget Committee, says that while protections for public safety are essential, tough choices will have to be made.
We have to spend the money to fix the public safety challenges. And then I'm convinced we will see more conventions, more tourists, more commuters, and we'll see the revenue grow.
But Bianca argues the city should hold big tech companies accountable for paying their fair share of taxes to help make a dent in the budget deficit. Even so, they say they're optimistic the city can find a way to protect jobs and services.
It is about preserving city services for everybody who enters San Francisco, whatever the purpose.
Meanwhile, District Attorney Brooke Jenkins says that her office will also be excluded from those budget cuts. She said in a statement that Mayor Lurie's decision will ensure they don't have to make any cuts to staffing and can continue to make the city safer. The city's public defender's office says it was also spared from those cuts. A spokesperson told us cutting its budget would impact the city's entire justice system.
To cut 15% from our budget would be absolutely devastating. That would mean, create a backlog in the courts. It would mean more people not getting quality public defender services, which everybody has the right to.
So looking at the bigger picture, the city is facing a more than $800 million shortfall over 2 years. Mayor Lurie is looking at a June 1st deadline for submitting his budget. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area.
If you want to get away, your bags won't fly free anymore. As Southwest Airlines turns a new page, their customers tell us they might go away.
No, AB 942. No, AB 942.
Thus, frustrated Bay Area homeowners take their fight over solar power to the Capitol. Why they say they feel betrayed by the state. And fans lining up outside Oracle Park hours before it opens its doors. It's bringing people from around the world to San Francisco.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Well, we're in that midweek cool down before a very big warm up around the corner. Heading into our afternoon hours tomorrow, we jump to the 80s from the 70s we have today, and then another 10-degree jump all the way into the upper 90s in our inland spots heading into our Friday forecast. Now, this heat wave comes at an inconvenient time, of course, as we dive into this weekend, so just be very careful out there as we head into Friday. The National Weather Service has already issued heat advisories for most of us here in the Bay Area, and for our friends in the Bay, closer to San Francisco and Oakland, we're going to sit in the 80s before we jump back down to the 60s.
And just as the summer travel season ramps up, the era of free checked bags is flying away. Southwest Airlines now going to start charging for your checked bags. For years, it was the only U.S. airline that let bags fly for free and even built a slogan on it. Kevin Coe went to Oakland International Airport to find out how travelers are taking the news.
This new policy kicks in tomorrow, so you still got a few hours to book a vacation and get 2 free checked bags. But for flyers we talked to here, today may be their last Southwest flight. Fresh off her flight, Margot Houston is crunching the numbers.
Went to a wedding, so we have 5 bags because I brought some back for another person. So yeah, right there you're talking a couple $100, you know. Which is not cool. It factors in a lot on what you can and can't do.
Margot and other Southwest Airlines flyers at Oakland International Airport just learned about the new baggage policy. $35 for one checked bag, $45 for the second.
Are you serious? Well, the prices are already high. How is the airline going to do that? Are they going to lower their prices on the flights?
Some, like Dawn, thought one checked bag was still free.
I was pretty disappointed to hear about it, but it doesn't affect me too much because I guess I'm efficient with my travels and my luggage. I don't use more than one luggage.
But even one bag will cost her $35 under the new policy.
Oh, okay, that's extra disappointing. Yeah, we'll probably rethink our travels next time then. That's a lot. I thought it was just 2.
Southwest was the only major U.S. airline offering 2 free checked bags for basic economy travelers. It even became part of its trademark slogan, bags fly free.
Pack all the things.
Now, like its competitors, a checked bag will only be free with elite status.
Southwest was really flying alone when this came about. And the people who flew Southwest happily flew them because of this. Now the real question is going to be, how many passengers will Southwest lose because of this? And we'll see pretty soon.
We asked CBS News travel editor Peter Greenberg what the end of free checked baggage for basic economy says about the U.S. airline industry.
It says that America has become the home of the brave and the land of the fee. It's sad that we've come to this, but we've been getting there for quite a while. Airlines basically structure their profit or their profitability based on fees and not fares. I think the old Southwest didn't want to do it. They're now controlled by a new investor group that wanted to generate additional revenue. And in the process, they attempted to blow up the entire culture that made Southwest Southwest.
For some travelers, the new policy change means they'll be choosing a new airline for their next trip.
Mexico, let's go, but not with Southwest. Not if I have to pay for my luggage.
For others, the rise in fees could mean fewer trips.
There's so many hidden fees with the airlines too nowadays. It's ridiculous. You know, the seat upgrades, you name it. You know, this, that, and the other. It's getting too expensive. Too much.
Whether it's want to get away or bags fly free, Greenberg points out that Southwest branded itself as a cost-saving airline. But Southwest in Q1 of this year also reported a net loss of $149 million. Cheap options for air travel are dwindling.
Well, some furious Bay Area residents headed to Sacramento to fight back against a plan to change the rules for homeowners with solar power. They told our John Ramos they feel betrayed by the state.
The California legislature created the demand for rooftop solar 30 years ago, so they probably shouldn't be surprised that there's opposition now that they're talking about taking some of it away. The sun is the source of heat for the planet, and that's especially true in Sacramento these days.
No! AB 942! No! AB 942!
The solar industry and system owners have not been shy about expressing their views about Assembly Bill 942. The bill is authored by Southern California Assembly member Lisa Calderon, who says the 20-year solar incentives created by the legislature no longer work.
Today, however, subsidies are no longer fair or equitable and have led to a cost shift onto non-solar customers to ensure the grid is maintained. This cost shift amounted to an estimated $8.5 billion last year alone and is expected to increase in future years.
The argument is that early adopters of solar are getting such a high price for the excess energy they produce that they avoid paying for the cost of the grid and PG&E's operation, including the billions of dollars being spent to mitigate wildfires. That leaves those who don't have solar to pay those costs, and Calderon says it's not a small amount.
In total, the cost shift onto non-solar customers is roughly 25% of a non-solar customer's energy bill.
Well, they're lying. There's a dozen economists that have completely debunked that claim, that somehow solar customers are to blame for high rates.
Dave Rosenfeld heads up the Solar Rights Alliance. They say what's being ignored is all the energy that rooftop solar is providing that the big utilities do not have to pay to create. And they're mad as hell that the state is considering breaking a contract with solar owners.
It refers to the 20-year terms as a guarantee. That's the CPUC's own words. So in every way, for all of this time, the state has been representing this as a contract, as a legal agreement, something that is very, very serious, and people made long-term financial decisions believing the state at its word that it was a guarantee, that it was a contract.
AB 942 initially proposed to cut the 20-year term to 10 years, but the outcry was such that that was removed. Now the argument is over what happens if someone with a favorable contract sells their home. The current rules say the new owner inherits the previous solar agreement. Under 942, they would get a much lower rate for their energy. Kathy Schiffer considers that a betrayal.
And I do want to sell my house in the future, and so this was going to be an addition to my house. It would make it more attractive, and now it won't be that. To me, the whole thing has just kind of fallen apart. The reason to get solar, the financial reason to get solar.
Even under the new proposed rules, a solar power system would still be a better deal than no solar at all. The question is how long it would take for the system to pay for itself and how attractive it may be to buyers when it comes time to sell the home.
The solar advocates originally planned to protest next week, but they say the legislation is being fast-tracked and could have been put up for a vote sooner than expected. President Trump once again threatening to pull federal funding from California, this time over transgender athletes competing in women's sports. That comes as a transgender athlete at a high school in Riverside County gears up to compete at the state finals in track and field. The president said he'd be speaking with Governor Newsom about the situation. A Democratic strategist and critic of the governor says the issue has become a political problem for him.
Right. He's got a lot of progressives on the left who were very supportive of his record on these kinds of issues, now seeing him flip-flop. And you people on the right who've never trusted him on these issues, not sure what to think of it. So he's not winning any friends by this.
Governor Newsom had announced on his podcast with conservative activist Charlie Kirk that he believed trans athletes in women's sports is unfair. Elon Musk appears to be at odds with President Trump over the spending bill passed by House Republicans last week. Musk recently stepped back from running the Department of Government Efficiency. In an exclusive interview with CBS Sunday Morning, the billionaire said he is disappointed by the price tag.
I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing.
The Congressional Budget Office says the tax provisions of the package would increase the deficit by nearly $4 trillion by 2034. You can watch the exclusive interview on CBS Sunday Mornings this weekend. Still ahead, a boost in business at the ballpark, and it's not because of a baseball game. How K-pop is bringing people from around the world to Oracle Park.
Yeah, come on in. Yeah.
degrees, a very big warm up on the way as we head into our Thursday and Friday forecast. Friday, it's going to be noticeable everywhere throughout the Bay Area with close to triple-digit weather in the forecast as high pressure starts to move its way in. Relative humidity drops, temperatures start to increase. The National Weather Service has already issued a heat advisory starting in the early morning hours on Friday, and that's going to last all throughout the afternoon hours everywhere throughout our inland spots from Santa Rosa down into the Santa Clara Valley. We're going to notice well above average temperatures for this time of year. The good news is, well, if there is some good news, the fact that this heat wave is only lasting a day or two. You look at Friday and Saturday, yes, we're sitting in the 90s throughout those inland spots, but look past that. Sunday into Monday, if you're not paying attention to your screen right now and you're just hearing me, we're back down into the 70s by Sunday heading into Monday, so this heat wave moves fast. It is going to be noticeable, though. Cooling centers may be open. We're going to continue to keep a close eye on our community members. If you work outside, this is a good day to just take it extra slow on Friday, and if you have the opportunity to work from home or limit your time outside if possible, that's definitely the day to do it. I mean, even for our friends in the Bay forecast. I had a dog for a really long time here in the Bay, and one thing I always notice is on days like that, even though it's only 80 degrees, he was always panting a lot, just going to the park or stuff like, those afternoon activities. So try doing the early morning walks or the late evening walks, but avoid that midday portion if you can. Get out there and get some fresh air in those early morning hours before it starts to heat up. Luckily, we cool right back down into the 60s as we head into next week for our friends along the Bay, so we'll be right back to average right around the corner.
Well, it is usually home to the Giants. Oracle Park is hosting 2 back-to-back concerts this week. K-pop superstars Stray Kids are performing tonight.
Maniac, Frankenstein처럼 벌어 maniac.
Tickets sold out quickly, and fans have been traveling from across the country to see the Korean boy band perform live. Veronica Macias spoke with some fans who have been lining up overnight at Oracle Park.
This morning, you have fans that are very excited out here to see Stray Kids tonight. Some fans coming as far as Hong Kong just for this concert. And many of them, this line wraps all around Oracle Park, showing up as early as 1, 2 o'clock in the morning to get a good spot in the pit because they have general admission tickets. You have fans who are also local, fans like Tracy, who came from Berkeley, and she's out here with freebies for people, rings for one of their favorite band members. There's 8. And Tracy, you were telling me some of the lyrics here really uplifting. You love Maniac. Explain why.
Maniac is a song about being crazy, and the message is that it's okay to be crazy sometimes. It just helps you hone yourself,
And it's helped you cope, get over the loss of your parents. And what is why do you spend some money on, you pretty penny on this stuff for the fans? Why?
Stray Kids is one of my favorite bands, and they I love them, yeah. And if I ever had a chance, I would want to marry one of them. That's why.
Who would you ask to marry?
Probably their leader, Bang Chan.
Okay. My favorite was who again?
Hyunjin.
Yeah, he's a cutie. Okay, and we have fans that are littles out here enjoying their first concerts, and it starts at what time?
Concert starts at 7:30, I believe, and then check-in for VIP starts at 10.
So they have a long time to wait out here, and they're doing the best to stay warm and maybe use the restroom between now and then.
We're making friends as well.
We're making friends.
The surrounding businesses are finding ways to attract customers. Businesses like Bar Via across the street hoping to draw in fans, not for cocktails, but for the Stray Kids merch. General Manager Barbara Perzignan says the last time Oracle Park had a K-pop concert, there wasn't a huge bar crowd, so she decided to rent out the space for merchandise sales.
I had no clue. I didn't know what to expect. This is not the kind of stuff you usually see at a concert. There's no t-shirts, there's no sweatshirts, there's no hoodies, there's no, all the usual stuff that you see at a concert. But there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things.
So she admits while she doesn't fully get it, she appreciates what concerts like this do for the community. And tomorrow, Kendrick Lamar and SZA gonna take over Oracle Park for their grand national tour. That concert starts at 7 p.m. So if you're planning on taking Caltrain to the show, a special Kendrick Lamar and SZA themed train is going to be traveling up to San Francisco. They're going to have prizes and bandanas. That train leaving the Diridon station at 5:22 and arriving in San Francisco about 40 minutes before the show starts. A staple at Fisherman's Wharf celebrating its 60th anniversary in San Francisco. The popular seafood restaurant Skoma's opened in 1965. It was originally intended to be a little coffee shop, but has since become a 350-seat tourist destination and favorite haunt for some locals as well. The daughter of the restaurant's founder told us how their family business was able to capture the heart of San Francisco.
Very good hospitality, really knowing how to take care of people, treat them right, keeping everything up to par, always having the freshest local fish. That's really where the heart is.
I think the best thing about Skoma's is just the friendly atmosphere we have here, plus killer seafood. Every time we come here, we feel good. It's our happy spot.
Oh, he says that Skoma's makes them feel like being part of a family. Coming up next here on CBS News Bay Area, new rooms with new beds, the safe space for teens in the East Bay who have already been through so much.
They're either experiencing homelessness, exploitation.
Plus, a local business that is not looking to make a profit. We'll take you inside a repair shop fueled by donations and pedal power.
I don't want any money. I don't need any money.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Ann Makovic, and here's another look at our news headlines. Advocates holding a rally outside an immigration courthouse in San Francisco. They tell us federal agents have been showing up there and that they detained 4 people Tuesday morning. This is the courthouse on Montgomery Street. The Chronicle reporting the 4 people were arrested after their court appointments for asylum cases. Okay. We have an eye on a homeless encampment in Berkeley today. The city is ordering people sleeping in a Loney Park to clear out by today or risk citation and arrest. City leaders say they have received a surge in complaints of overflowing garbage, discarded needles, and human waste. The number of people living there began to swell last month. Neighbors say they fear for their safety. Homeless advocates say the city should be doing more to help. And the Trump administration putting a pause on appointments for students looking to obtain a visa. The State Department has ordered U.S. embassies to temporarily stop scheduling any new student visa appointments. CBS News has learned the State Department is preparing an expansion of social media screening and vetting of applicants. All right, time to get another check on our first alert forecast because we have a warm-up in store at the end of the week. Here's meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Well, it's a nice mild day for us today in the Bay Area, but we have a big warm up around the corner as we head into the next couple days. Daytime highs today are actually cooler compared to yesterday. We were in the 80s off into Antioch, up into Santa Rosa, and down into the Santa Clara Valley yesterday for our Tuesday forecast. But today, we're all back in the 70s with 60s closer to Oakland and San Francisco, Fremont too, and then some 50s up along our coastline with cloudy skies into this afternoon. So a nice mild midweek forecast, but we have a very big warm up right around the corner. Heading into our daytime highs tomorrow and all the way into our Friday forecast, we're going to jump up about 20 to 25 degrees. I'll show you that in a second. Starting off with today, though, winds are already kicking up into our afternoon hours. Into the evening hours tonight, we can see wind speeds anywhere up to around 35 to 40 miles per hour at times along the coast, up into Bodega Bay. A little bit lighter conditions off near San Francisco, pushed into our inland areas. Now, the weather is changing fast as we head into the next couple days. High pressure starts to ridge its way in. We're going to sandwich that with some high pressure in our inland areas, and that warms us up and it dries us up a lot. We're going to see relative humidity drop. Temperatures are going to start to rise to the point where the National Weather Service has already issued a heat advisory starting in the early morning hours on Friday for most of the Bay Area, and it's going to last into the afternoon hours on Friday until 8 p.m. We're expected to jump up to the upper 90s, close to the triple digits in our inland areas like the East Bay and the Santa Clara Valley. We're going to ditch that heat advisory as we head into Saturday, but we still have a lot of warmth left over. It's not until Sunday where we start to see that recovery process back into the 70s for our friends in our inland spots. And speaking of 70s, that's where we're going to be at tomorrow for our friends along the bay before we jump into the 80s by Friday, back into the 70s by Saturday. Cooler weather on the way next week.
There is a new safe space in Oakland for teens who are homeless or have been exploited. The new youth home just opened with the hope of providing new beginnings. Our Suji Nam gives us a look inside.
All right, so welcome to Phoenix Rising Youth Home.
It's a new chapter for restorative pathways.
2 floors, and right now you're seeing our top floor, which is meant for girls who are coming in through the city of Oakland. They're either experiencing homelessness, exploitation.
CEO Sephora Atchison says Phoenix Rising Youth Home in Oakland has 12 beds to provide critical shelter.
It was really important to us picking the decor because we wanted it to feel like home. We want it to be bright.
Restorative Pathways provides housing and resources for victims of domestic violence and human trafficking. This youth home will serve those between the ages of 12 and 18.
West Coast Children's Clinic has done quite a bit of research, and they are showing that 1 in 7 youth that walk through their doors are showing signs of exploitation. The trauma numbers are even higher.
Oakland police say the department's Child Exploitation Investigative Unit works an average of 1,500 cases a year. Dozens of those youth who have been removed from the streets are now in Phoenix Rising.
We have an open kitchen where staff are able to cook with them.
Atchison says there will be 24/7 staffing at the home with case managers, therapists, and peer advocates.
Nice to meet you, sir. How you doing?
And staff like Justin Luke Riley, who once lived in a homeless shelter, will make sure those who walk through these doors will be protected.
Restorative Pathways offers young individuals like me when I was 19 years young, looking for a safe place, a healthy place, and a place that was rich, full of resources.
And for Atchison, her goal is to help them heal and build that trust, to connect them with more permanent housing.
We will answer the door, we will bring you in, we will get you, a bed to sleep in, and help is there.
Being that helping hand in this new beginning.
2 rescued mountain lion cubs have moved from the Oakland Zoo to their new home in Arizona. Fern and Thistle, aren't they cute? They were rescued back in January in Portola Valley. The state believes that their mother had been hit by a car. The zoo says that they got wellness exams and vaccines before moving to the Phoenix Zoo. And the zoo there says that Thistle has been more courageous coming out of his crate to eat. Fern, on the other hand, has been taking her time getting used to her new home. The city of San Francisco has a very strong community of cyclists, and there's one shop in particular that is hoping to get more riders in the saddle by fixing broken bikes practically for free. Kara St. Cyr takes us to the Scenic Routes Bike Center.
All right, I'm gonna grab a bike real quick here.
What started out as a pandemic-era joke
There's a lot of stuff back here.
morphed into a full-time repair shop.
I am looking at this Raleigh, which its problem is primarily a post-crash assessment. So I'm gonna go through it and make sure it's safe.
Jay Beeman takes old bikes and fixes them up. He uses borrowed equipment and donated tools. Anything he can get his hands on, really.
Because I was on Twitter, people were saying, oh, there's a shortage, there's this bike shortage. And I was like, there's not a bike shortage. There are literally 100,000 bikes in garages within a mile from me, just languishing, not being used. All you need to do is fix up the bike you already have.
So he did, and Scenic Routes Community Bike Center was born. But there's a catch.
I don't want any money. I don't need any money.
Jay does all of this for virtually nothing in return. His shop is what he calls anti-profit, which means exactly what it sounds like. Jay runs his business without the goal of making money.
I just need to make whatever I can make.
He's able to do it through a network of cyclists that make donations in exchange for repairs.
So this person came in here like full of like fear and anxiety, and now I get to be like, dude, your bike's great.
All of the money goes back into the shop and staff. The goal is to have nothing left over, no excess. Last year, he made $61,000 total.
That's plenty for what I need.
But to Jay, it's worth it. The give and take aspect of this shop promotes community. He teaches repair classes on Thursday nights, rents bikes out to new riders.
So what we really try to do is really slow down and be like, this is what's happening. This is how your bicycle works. This is why it makes that noise. This is why it doesn't matter.
And keeps folks coming back with a smile. That's why Paul Bray started working here.
Bike shops can be not very inclusive. And yeah, I was always struck by the way it's such a welcoming environment.
And the environment often returns the love. On his birthday, riders came out to celebrate with a night trek to Twin Peaks.
We will ride to the bottom and have tea and cake there.
So whether it's a broken wheel or a seat that doesn't sit just right, Jay will fix it. Because it's not about him. It's about the community.
Let's go ride our bikes.
And that's worth more than money can buy.
Well, Scenic Routes does accept donations. You can also support them by buying a monthly membership, their sweatshirts, or other merch. Coming up next, Golden State Valkyries on the road, taking on the defending WNBA champs. Matt Lively bringing us the highlights or the lowlights from the battle in Brooklyn.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Well, we're in that midweek cool down before a very big warm up around the corner. Heading into our afternoon hours tomorrow, we jump to the 80s from the 70s we have today, and then another 10-degree jump all the way into the upper 90s in our inland spots heading into our Friday forecast. Now, this heat wave comes at an inconvenient time, of course, as we dive into this weekend, so just be very careful out there as we head into Friday. The National Weather Service has already issued heat advisories for most of us here in the Bay Area, and for our friends in the Bay, closer to San Francisco and Oakland, we're going to sit in the 80s before we jump back down to the 60s.
Well, the Golden State Valkyries hoping to rebound from last night's loss against the defending WNBA champs. They're going to face off again tomorrow, and we are proud to bring you that game once again on KPIX. Our Matt Lively has been on the road with the team in New York, catching all of the courtside action.
If you come at the champs, you best not miss. The Valkyries learned that the hard way as the Liberty showed off why they won a title in 2024 and took game 1 of 2 here in Brooklyn.
This is on me. We didn't scrimmage a lot in the past couple days, and I told him that's on me. I chose rest over rhythm, and that's what I get. That's what I get with the first quarter.
The Liberty didn't give Golden State a warm welcome to the Big Apple, jumping out to a 22-point lead in the first half. The Valkyries shot 2 of 16 from the floor in the first quarter, scoring a season-low 10 points. The second half wasn't much better. The Valkyries were able to cut the deficit to 11 in the third, but they couldn't stay consistent. Brianna Stewart scored 24, and Walnut Creek native Sabrina Ionescu added another 8 en route to a 95-67 Liberty win.
It was a really good test for us to see where we're at and to know that we've got a lot to work on. That's obviously a really, really good team, but we know we can play better than what we showed tonight.
We kind of came back, cut the lead down to about 13, and then we just kind of just lost it. But, you know, I'm just proud of our team that we just kept with it. We didn't give up. Again, this is like our 4th game. It's not an excuse, but I think we have to come out stronger and just compete.
If there was a positive, it was Kayla Thornton returning to Barclays and receiving her ring from last year's championship team.
That thing is beautiful. It's gorgeous. I mean, I can't even explain it. I'm going to have to go put it up somewhere.
What was the moment like? All your former teammates surrounding you. You could see their love. What was that like?
That's what I miss, you know what I'm saying? It's more than basketball, and like we built a relationship off the court, and that's what's precious and that's what's more emotional is the relationship that we have off the court.
I wanted her to enjoy that moment, you know, getting the ring and seeing it for the first time. Like, that's something I told her and Ohema, like, very few people in the world get to have that. So I just wanted her to embrace it as much as she can.
Luckily for Golden State, they don't have to wait long to get another crack at the Liberty. They'll be back here at Barclays Center on Thursday night.
And again, you can catch that rematch between the Valkyries and the Liberty on KPIX. Pre-game coverage starting tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Well, this is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and we are spotlighting a Bay Area artist using paint and family memories to keep his culture alive. Kenneth Tan moved back to San Jose to care for his grandmother, and together they turned her watercolor paintings into a powerful way to preserve family history. What started at the kitchen table became a book of memories honoring his Lola, and now a second book celebrating his mother and sister, one painting at a time.
I don't want to forget my Lola. I feel like we live through our stories, and if the stories are gone, gosh, then that's it. So I don't know, maybe this is my way of grieving. This is my way of keeping her present. This is my way of letting her know that I see her and I hear her. That's why it's important to me.
You can watch our full story by Ryan Yamamoto, airing tonight at 5 on our evening edition. Coming up, it has been nicknamed the giant asparagus. It is a nearly 30-foot plant in the East Bay, and it's gone viral. It's about to go through a once-in-a-lifetime event. We'll tell you about the death bloom.
It's impressive. It's so much taller than I ever would have guessed.
warm up on the way as we head into our Thursday and Friday forecast. Friday, it's going to be noticeable everywhere throughout the Bay Area with close to triple-digit weather in the forecast as high pressure starts to move its way in. Relative humidity drops, temperatures start to increase. The National Weather Service has already issued a heat advisory starting in the early morning hours on Friday, and that's going to last all throughout the afternoon hours everywhere throughout our inland spots from Santa Rosa down into the Santa Clara Valley. We're going to notice well above average temperatures for this time of year. The good news is, well, if there is some good news, the fact that this heat wave is only lasting a day or two. You look at Friday and Saturday, yes, we're sitting in the 90s throughout those inland spots, but look past that. Sunday into Monday, if you're not paying attention to your screen right now and you're just hearing me, we're back down into the 70s by Sunday heading into Monday, so this heat wave moves fast. It is going to be noticeable, though. Cooling centers may be open. We're going to continue to keep a close eye on our community members. If you work outside, this is a good day to just take it extra slow on Friday, and if you have the opportunity to work from home or limit your time outside if possible, that's definitely the day to do it. I mean, even for our friends in the Bay forecast. I had a dog for a really long time here in the Bay, and one thing I always notice is on days like that, even though it's only 80 degrees, he was always panting a lot, just going to the park or stuff like, you know, those afternoon activities. So try doing the early morning walks or the late evening walks, but avoid that midday portion if you can. Get out there and get some fresh air in those early morning hours before it starts to heat up. Luckily, we cool right back down into the 60s as we head into next week for our friends along the Bay, so we'll be right back to average right around the corner.
The cast of season 50 of Survivor has just been announced. The milestone season is going to feature some all-stars, including a player from the Peninsula.
From 48, she came into the game with a lot of self-doubt and emerged an assassin.
Camilla from Foster City came in 4th in the latest season. She's going to be one of 24 returning players. The creator of White Lotus, Mike White, is also going to be returning. He competed in season 37. Season 50 of Survivor premieres in spring of next year on CBS and streaming on Paramount+. Well, the life cycle of a massive plant in a neighborhood in Oakland is coming to an end. And in death, it is putting on quite a show. Photojournalist Rick Villaroman tells us more about the so-called giant asparagus, its death bloom, and the beauty it will leave behind.
It's amazing.
This big mama here, yeah, we're just calling it the agave right now, or the giant asparagus.
And you can see why. At nearly 27 feet, that's one big asparagus. And in case you were wondering,
it is from the family asparagus, which is why it looks so much like an asparagus.
Botanically known as Asparagaceae, to be exact, and giant. Come see for yourself.
It's impressive. It's so much taller than I ever would have guessed.
We want one. It's mind-boggling.
Also mind-boggling is how long it can take to reach this stage of its life.
I think it's at least 30. That's what our landscaper said when we decided to keep it. But the internet doesn't always agree on how long it takes for this to happen. Some places say 10 to 30 years, others say up to 40, others say up to 80. The house was made in the 1890s, so God knows how long it's been here, but yeah, we love it.
But this plant is now reaching the end of its cycle of life. It's known as a death bloom, the final bloom before a plant dies. This once-in-a-lifetime flowering event will attract pollinators like bats, bees, and hummingbirds, and can drop up to 1,000 seeds and new plants known as pups.
Yeah, it's gonna make these gorgeous yellow flowers at the end.
But even after its death bloom, this majestic plant will live on through, of all places, social media. It's become internet famous after a neighbor posted it on Instagram.
The algorithm figured it out and it gave it over 1 million views, thousands of people liking it and commenting on it. It just felt really good, like being part of my community.
And there are other ways it could live on.
People have said, hey, send me that, send me the stock and I'll make tequila out of it. I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna mail that. That thing, it's massive. Julian, who's 2 years old, wants to know if he can go up there.
But perhaps, more importantly, it will live on in the memories it's created for the Spencieri family and his neighbors.
It's cool to think that like it came from something like it and it will make something else, many other things like it. And we just can't wait to pass those on. We'll set up a table with all the seeds and the pups and give back to the community.
Pretty cool. Once the agave flowers, a death bloom is inevitable, and nothing can be done to stop it. Circle of life. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to be right back with your First Alert forecast and another look at your top stories.